Hello and welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 201. I'm Clint, aka JCM. With us this week is Isli,
Yo,
and Azai isn't feeling well. Azai's not joining us, but we don't have too much to go over. So I figure what we probably do is we can talk a little bit more about blueprints in kind of a light spoiler fashion, considering it was tough to talk about early on because we were both probably in different spots and everything like that. But it sounds like we're pretty far along now, so we can at least talk about some stuff and kind of what we like and yada yada. But one of the things we forgot to mention last episode was how Bungie had a marathon stream for about an hour and something. They showed them gameplay for marathon, and we don't have to talk about it too much. I'm interested in how it's going to turn out because it's an extraction shooter and there are like abilities and everything, and it sounds interesting. And I like watching the actual gameplay. It was kind of fun that they showed like they did the Apex Legends things where they brought in a bunch of like streamers and whatnot to play the game, and they showed like that footage. So you have your shrouds and your whatnot and all these other shoes. So I'm not familiar with, but seeing them actually like play the game was fun to watch. So I'll be curious how that goes. The beta starts pretty soon. I did sign up for the beta, but usually for betas for these kind of games, it's like the PC closed alpha is usually the first, and the console ones are later, and you can't sign up for both. I was like, yeah, I guess I'll just sign up for the PlayStation one. So we'll see if I get into the beta or not. I have gotten into a lot of other betas on PlayStation, so maybe I'll get in there. Of course, it'll be NDA'd, so I won't be able to talk about it. But I'm curious to try it. But yeah,
it looked
that did happen.
interesting. I did we know it was an extraction shooter a while ago? Because I felt like
Yes.
that was news to me, and maybe I just haven't been following it close enough. But that part actually kind of surprised me, not in a bad way.
Yeah, that was announced when it got shown, that it was gonna be an extraction shooter, way back in that first teaser trailer when it, came out. But the abilities bit is what sounds interesting. I think in Hunt Showdown, you have some abilities as well, in that game, so it'll be
Oh God, I have no
curious, and of
idea.
course
That game went through so many iterations now that the game it is now is totally different than what it used to be.
yeah, but, yeah, it could be interesting. They do say that you can queue solo, but I'm wondering if there'll be, like, a solo specific mode or if that's gonna come later. That's one of the issues, like, there's other because Delta Force also has abilities that you can use for their operators, but that's, squad fill. You can do no squad fill and stuff like that, but there's also some cheater issues on that game and some balancing they need to do, and, like, the China servers for that game have solo queues, but they don't have that in any other regions for some reason. So hopefully by the time that game comes to console, because I played that for a little bit on PC because it's free to play, and it was alright. Like I could see playing more of it, but I wouldn't mind trying out. Obviously this one won't be free to play, but I'll be interested in trying it out. Curious how it's going to do, what the public reception will be like, especially since it's not free to play. Maybe Sony will do, looking at what happened with Concord, maybe they'll do like a PlayStation Plus thing or PlayStation Extra tier thing for it, but we'll see. But yeah, that's coming out pretty soon. So
Very
yeah,
soon.
moving on. Small bits of news we have is that Star Wars Outlaws has a story DLC that's coming next month. It's also confirmed that it will be coming to Nintendo Switch 2. The Pirates Fortune DLC will arrive on the 15th of May. So that'll be there. I think they had some other DLC as well. Because I think there's going to be that one, and I think there's a second one. Maybe the second one already came out. Oh yeah, Wildcard was the other expansion that came out. Was the other story DLC. And then yeah, it'll be coming to Switch 2 on September 4th. Curious how it should perform pretty well considering it's stronger than the Switch, so it should visually look good. We also got some gameplay shown for Chronos: The New Dawn, which was announced by Bloober Team a while back, and the original trailer did look interesting. I'm like, okay, this looks like it could be, RE style, Dead Space-ish looking stuff, and that's kind of how it is. Also with some like time manipulation kind of things for traversal.
I thought the
But
trailer looked great. Uh, I really well, I wouldn't say I like loved the combat on Silent Hill, but I thought the combat on the remake for Silent Hill 2 was enjoyable and like good enough that it wasn't problematic, which I know sounds kind of like low praise, but I feel like a lot of horror games have just god awful combat, and I thought Silent Hill 2 was good enough, not great. Um, so if they kind of improve on that even a tiny bit, I feel like the combat is going to be great in Chronos. And then I really liked the graphics and kind of the general aesthetic design of the game. It seems like they took a lot of obviously heavy inspiration from Dead Space. So I'm a lot more excited about it now than I was previously.
yeah, it's also gonna make me feel a lot like oh my god, I'm blanking on the Callisto Protocol. Like it's reminding me of that as well, which obviously is by the creator Dead Space. But I like the idea of having to burn the corpses, otherwise the live enemies could merge with their flesh to become bigger, stronger enemies. I think that's really cool. Like that's something I wish. Like I like when a game has a priority enemy you have to take out Usually in like RPGs, it's like, oh, you gotta take out the mage because they're putting shields and all this stuff. And it's like sometimes that could be very like straightforward, like, oh, you know, this God of War, like this enemy's buffing the other guys, gotta take him out real quick. Um, yada yada. But I like when it's, oh, we have the necromorph that turns the dead corpses of humans into other necromorphs. You gotta take that sucker out quick, or else you got more enemies you have to fight. So you're trying to conserve ammo otherwise. Or like the little head necromorphs that like will crawl into the corpses and become a bigger enemy versus just the tiny little head. And I like this, like, okay, I have to burn these corpses and or just quickly take out all the enemies before they can merge with one another. I think that's really cool because it definitely deters just the pop shots and hiding behind cover and stuff like that. Like it's like trying to make the game more active the way Doom does, where Doom's like just get up there, get nice and close, and that's how you get HP back and ammo back. It's like making
You have
sure you
to
stay in the fight.
actively get out there and do something.
Yeah, you can't just be passive. It's like if you do that, it's gonna be a problem, especially if a game does have I mean, it doesn't seem like a game that would necessarily have ammo scarcity considering you're a time hopping time traveler, so it's like, probably wouldn't be there. It'd be more just like, that's the priority, so how do I take these guys down in the proper
I
manner
mean,
to
it might not have ammo scarcity, but it might be that enemies take enough ammo that it actually like you still feel the tension. I mean, it's got to have some level of tension for a survival game where you don't feel like you can just run and gun everything.
Yeah, but I mean, I also think of games like, Control didn't have ammo, right? But you still had it's like, okay, which gun is best for the situation? What didn't mean necessarily all the fights were gonna be super easy depending on the type of, creatures that you fought. So it could be like, okay, yeah, you have unlimited ammo, but it still comes down to it's like, okay, it's still gonna be this enemy becomes bigger and bigger, it's like, it's gonna be a problem. But looks interesting. It's coming out later this year, so I'm looking forward to that one. Then Sony is raising the price of the PlayStation 5 in Europe, Australia, and New Zealand, and some other places. Just
Which
not the
has
US.
not been received well.
Oh, of course not. Yeah, because they increased. Europe went up 50 pounds or 50 euros. UK went up 40 pounds, and then Australia went up quite about 30 Australian dollars. But things are already expensive in Australia. And then New Zealand went up. Oh my God, New Zealand prices are insane. The New Zealand prices 950 New Zealand dollars increased up from 900. So either they have a really strong currency and that's why because usually you increase prices when you have like an imbalance in your currency conversion because like if your or it's like typically that's like if your currency is stronger than the currency that's buying it, you have to raise theirs to price match kind of. Uh, but yeah, we'll see. No effect in the US as of right now. But Australia and New Zealand, man, they are pricey. And yeah, that's like I said, not a whole lot of news, a lot of hands-on with Switch 2, stuff like that. People playing the Mario Kart uh worlds and whatever and being like, "Oh yeah, it was that's why it's going to be $80," or getting their hands on and testing the connection of the controllers and seeing how strong those magnets are, stuff like that. So not a ton of stuff. I did see Nintendo remade that Paul Rudd NES Super NES commercial from way back, but they did one for the Switch too, where he's like dressed the same way he was in that old commercial. I thought that was pretty funny. Like that's like good marketing, where you go back and remake an older commercial, but with the newer console. I think that's always fun when people do. Some
How
other
good
brands have
are
done
the
that.
magnets?
They're pretty strong. Like I saw them, like some people were like hold them up, like at least holding by by just the controller and like shaking the console, vertically,
Yeah.
and they weren't falling out. And then I think there's a video of I didn't watch it yet, but there's a video of from MinMax where Janet Garcia and Ben Hansen are out there looking at the Switch 2, and I think Janet tries to like physically pull one off to see how strong she has to pull it. And I think it took quite a bit. Like I don't think that they're not just gonna fall off. They're pretty strong. And you can have some pretty. I'm curious about the I'm curious about the button though, because like if they're magnets and you have a button, it's not like the button is just going to pull the magnets apart. Because I mean, then it would be a really strong button to push if it takes a lot of strength to pull magnets apart. You know what I mean? So it's like, is it just causing an electric current on one side of the magnets? That way it reverses polarity or something? Or like neutralizes polarity and then you can pull it apart? Like I'm curious how that mechanic works.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a button that just like pops the controller off by some mechanical means, that's definitely possible, but it seems like it would need to be assisted electronically at some point, which would be, I mean, they could do that, but
It could be, just a yeah, because if it's just a small electrical current, like, enough to impact the magnetic field, I mean, you could do something like that, like, just slowly, like, try to switch it towards reverse
I was
polarity.
I was kind of surprised by the magnet approach just because it seems like a very I'd love to see how it's actually engineered because I mean, I guess we will eventually. It just seems like the Switch's design actually worked pretty well for that. So I'm curious what reason they had for changing it because usually if they do a change like this, it's due to either cost or a better design, and I'd love to know which one actually drove it here.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a start there so people can check that out if they're interested in that. It's just all Switch. And then yeah, and then of course this week Indiana Jones came out on PlayStation. I watched the digital family video and it's like, yeah, looks good. I hope they fix that shadow quality issue because that like I'm fine with like popping because I've dealt with pop in like every console generation in open world games, especially. But like the shadow bit, I'm just like, man, that's gonna be so distracting depending on where you are, but, yeah, I'll pick that up eventually, I just don't know when. But yeah, that's pretty much, it for the news, like I said, not a ton. We're getting slowly getting closer to that June timeframe. We'll see if Sony announces any sort of showcase. We know that Xbox is doing something. Jeff Keighley hasn't announced anything yet, so, but we know there most likely will be something. But yeah, we can go ahead and I figure what we can do is just when we move on to what we're playing, we can talk a little more in depth on blueprints. We could spoil some of the like kind of the early things, just to kind of give an idea of what it's like. That way, anybody listening who's on there, because it's tough. Like when the game first came out, it's like everybody's like, "Oh, why is it so good? Like, why are people getting like nines and stuff?" And it's like, well, we can't talk about it because you don't want to spoil anything. But how far are you in? So we're gonna spoiler
You're already
asterisks like
struggling with how to phrase the
well,
question, aren't you?
I figure you've already gotten to you got to the antechamber before I did.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it has the
You're
note to proceed forward. You have to go down,
Yeah. In order
and
to
then
answer your question vaguely, and then I'll let you lead the conversation, I've gotten to the antechamber, and then I've also done the next step after the antechamber, and then I've discovered room 46.
okay, so you got to the main objective of the game, which is get to room 46.
Yes.
And then whatever happens after that. Now in the demo, like once you got to the antechamber in the demo, the door opened and then it was just like fade to white and it's like you beat the demo.
Right.
Now there's obviously more to that in this game. So I got to myself, I got to the antechamber, I got the key, I proceeded down, I did everything, I got to the puzzle that I hate in Talos Principle, where it's like I clearly see what I have to do but I have to move multiple things like 50 times in order to accomplish it, and I hate that mechanic. To me, it's lazy design because you're just all you're doing is extending something that doesn't need to be extended.
Which
Now, go ahead.
which way did you go down?
Well, the first time I went down is I got the once you get the once you get to the antechamber, my foundation was right there. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go down the elevator, go down that way, and then I got into the warehouse
Okay.
where you're all the boxes like that. I feel like that's the natural progression because by the time you get to the antechamber, if you don't have a lot of steps, there's no way you're making it back outside. And also, I forgot about the door down the fountain. Like I
Yeah.
forgot there was a door there. So,
That's what I was
which
curious about is because I kind of feel like those are the two I would say those are the two main ways to get down is fountain
yeah,
and foundation.
there's a third way, but down there as well. But I've ended up solving that one, but that's not like a permanent solution. It's more like a hey, if you get it, you can go this way. And I ended up going that way because I solved that puzzle. 'Cause I was like, man, I had all these. I had like this run where like, okay, I got to do the chess puzzle. I got to get to the. I had to get to the antechamber again because when I went like I did, I'm like, "Okay, I went down the elevator, I unlocked the stuff." I'm like, "Okay, I'm good." I'm like, "Yada yada." And I'm like, I looked at the map because they give you a map for the underground, and it's like all these different entrances from this place, that place, yada yada. And I'm like, "Oh, you can get here from the fountain?" I'm like, "I didn't realize you can get here from the fountain." I was like, "I don't remember seeing that." And I go back down the fountain, I'm like, "Oh, I was confusing the fountain with the outside elevator, the torches." that take you to the chess puzzle. And I was like, "Oh, I forgot this door was here." And that annoyed me because I had enough steps to go, I could have unlocked that. So then my objective was, "Damn it, I forgot this was here. I have to get back to the antechamber in order to continue." And I'm like, "Okay, I need the antechamber. I need to spawn the tomb because I wanna solve that puzzle. I wanna, like, re-explore it because I feel like I know there's a puzzle there, I just gotta figure out what it is." And then I'm like, "And I need to do the chess thing." And I had, like, the perfect run where I'm like, I could have just respawned the day until the tomb appeared, but on my first run, I got the chapel, and that's when I actually noticed the, the the pane glass. I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, I had like, I never looked up at the windows before because 'cause I'm always focused on, are there coins to make up for the coins I lost the coin I lost going in here?" And then I looked, I'm like, "Oh my god, these are the angels that are in the tomb that I'm trying to get." I'm like, "Okay," so then I jotted all that information down. So then later when I got the tomb, I was able to solve the puzzle immediately. But so I got to the antechamber, and then I had
So
I
have you
got the key.
solved the tomb puzzle?
Oh yeah, I already did the tomb puzzle, which just
Okay.
yeah, I
Yep.
did the tomb puzzle, which just opens up another back door to the
Yep.
underground, which I knew from the map. So I'm like, okay, this just goes down. I'm like, that's not super helpful, but like it lets me move the cart. And like that's I guess the only helpful thing you can do going that way is moving the cart. Which you could also do from the stairs if you unlock that door. Which obviously the tomb you could do faster than getting the key to the spiral staircase. So you can like that's a puzzle you could potentially solve early on in the game and then set yourself up for getting to that tunnel, underground. But anyways, I see the stuff, I get the thing, I get the antechamber, I get the key. I'm like, "Great." I'm like, and I forget what I did. I was like, "Oh, I got this." And I walked out, I opened the door, I see the candles and, like, in the candle room, the torch room, and I'm like, "There's gotta be a way to light these candles." And I'm like I'm like, "Do I have enough?" Like, I have the magnifying glass, and I have some other items, like, I must be able to combine because I knew that combining I combined the shovel not the shovel, I combined the sledgehammer with the lever and the battery, and that made the super sledge. So I opening up that broken wall in the greenhouse was, like, so helpful by the time I did that. But I didn't have that when I got down to the warehouse because there's the other passage you can open up, as well. Not that you need to, because once you get the spiral staircase on the fountain, it's, like, the best. Just go down that way or the elevator, in the foundation. And I guess opening up that cliffside exit would be helpful because you don't need to go down the elevator. Anyways, I get down there. I'm like, okay, I have a lot of stuff in my inventory, and so I go back up and I was like, I go because I had the workshop drawn, but I didn't have enough steps to go up to the workshop and then go back if I figured out what I needed. And I'm like, I should have hit the workshop up on my way out because I had to pass through it. So I like go through it and I'm like, oh, if I combine the magnifying glass with this thing, it makes this thing that can light the candles. I'm like, "Oh, okay, great." So now my next objective is, do this, make the thing to light the candles. I solved the chess piece. I luckily I got, like, the perfect run there. I had, like, a bunch of great runs, right? Knocked out, like, 2 things in 1 run, and then uh, just and then I got the tomb, like, a thing. So, like, I got the chess puzzle solved, and then I did the torches or the candles, did that, and I'm like, "Okay, well, that was kind of a waste to do the candles." Um, and then I went into the tomb and did the 2 candles there, but I think I missed something, because I felt like, "Oh, I must be done with the game, like, pretty done." Like, I got to the tunnel, but I didn't have it's funny because I got to the tunnel, but in that run, I didn't have a door unlocked to the antechamber. So I'm like, "Okay, I don't have the antechamber unlocked, but I was able to open up the room 46." I'm like, "Great." So I'm not there. Like, I get there. So now luckily, the cog downstairs stays where it is. So I'm like, now my run is just I need to get to the antechamber, I need to open up the door, then I can just go down the foundation, quickly run to the thing, flip the
So
switch.
wait, you've opened up you hit the switch in the foundation already.
I hit the switch at the end of the tunnel that opens up
Okay.
the door,
Yeah. Okay.
but I didn't have access to the antechamber.
Okay. So you did that in a run. So now you're trying to make it back to the antechamber, and that's
So
where you're at right now.
now my objective is now I just need to build to the antechamber unlocked. Then once it's unlocked, go down the foundation, go to the tunnel, flip the switch again, unless it's a permanent unlock, which I doubt it is, considering all the other antechamber doors aren't permanent once you unlock them. Uh, Unlock it and then go back up and hopefully have enough steps to do all that, and then go through the door. And then I'm assuming if that's sounds like that's not the end because if you got to room 46, there must be one more step. But the objective of getting there, I'm like, okay, that's where I'm at. So I've done like a bunch of other stuff, but I start thinking like, is there anything else I'm missing? Because I'm like the tomb and like getting the chess puzzle, which is like great. That's a nice thing. And then which would be nice if I got it earlier. It was so tough to try to get the office and the study or the ladyship's room to spawn at the same time. Is always the rough spot. Thank God I was like, "Does the queen on the chessboard in the study count as a queen piece?" And then I'm like, "It does." I'm like, "I'm good. Okay." Uh, and so now that's where I'm at, is I just have to do that. So you got to it, so I'm guessing there's more stuff you have to do. But I'm wondering if the only puzzle I'm curious about, aside from like miscellaneous stuff, like I'm sure there's like a secret in a room, like there's the safe in the study I never opened. I thought I might have known the code, but and when I thought more on it, I'm like, I think I'm just overthinking it. It is just this. It's just Lorelei and the laser eyes again. So I'm like, okay, they're always this. So I think I just gotta. I'm so man. What day are you on?
God, I'd have to open
Well,
it
because
up
you
and
played
check. I
multiple
want to say
files.
like, tw- yeah, I didn't beat it on my. I have a file that's like day 20 or 30 or something, and that's not the one I beat it on. I actually beat it on one that was significantly earlier in the run, just kind of with how this game works. Like,
Yeah.
once I knew how I had to go about stuff, I beat it faster on a different save. So I think I'm day 30-ish, I want to say, on the main one, and then I want to say I'm day we'll go with like somewhere between 5 to 10-ish on the one where I beat it.
Yeah, watching, like, Northern Lion, like, he just got, like, lucky rolls on a lot of his stuff, and, like, man, he's made so much more progress. Like, he got to the antechamber super quick, and then so I had, like when he got there, when I was watching it, I had to stop the video because 'cause I'm like, "I can't see what happens once it gets here," and then, I skipped ahead because he only had, like, 2 steps. So I'm like, "Okay, whatever he has to do, he probably doesn't have enough steps for it, so I'm just gonna skip." But, like, he got, like he's just getting good runs, and then but, dude,
I
the
got to the antechamber pretty fast, but then I got to the antechamber and was like, well, fuck, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do at this point because I got to the antechamber and hadn't discovered what the next step stuff was. So that happened first. Then I played like quite a bit more rounds. So like I got the key pretty early, and then I played quite a bit more rounds. And this is like one of my first kind of soft locks where I was like, "All right, I know there's a basement somewhere. It seems like that's the logical progression. I have no idea how to get to the basement." So I did a lot of exploring, trying to figure that out. And then I ended up finding the foundation, not the foundation, the well, I found the foundation super early and placed it, like I said, right off right off the main room, which just kind of cracks me up that it's like stuck there. But I found the fountain entrance first, kind of coincidentally, by finding the pump room, draining various things, and then when I was draining things, I had no idea what, the reservoir was. I had no idea what any of the other things were. I didn't have an aquarium at the time, so I thought like the only thing I had was the fountain. So I just like drained the fountain. I was like, well, I mean, I guess this is the only thing I can do with the final steps I have for this day. So I will go explore the fountain and see what it is. And that obviously kind of opened up the basement for me. And then I had to figure out what the hell you do from there on. But that was kind of like how my winning run went. I do have theories on stuff, but I feel like I probably shouldn't discuss theories uh, until you actually get to room 46 because I feel like anything I say positive or negative would cloud your judgment.
Mm. Yeah, I wanted the first time I got to the pump room, I was just, like, flipping switches, and then I just happened to drain the fountain just, like, a little bit, and so I didn't notice it for, like, multiple days, but once it does that flyover back to the mansion, like, I saw, like, "Wait, there's stairs?" And I was like, "What?" Then I go back out, I'm like, "There are stairs here." So then my one of my bonus objectives, "Okay, get the pump room, get the pump room." And now that I've gone downstairs and there's that reservoir down there, I'm like, "Okay, I gotta get the pump room again. I gotta drain the reservoir." So at least it'd be nice to go across it, whatever, because I can't get to that boat to at least cross the water from the one side if I wanted.
Yeah,
But now I've got so many entrances open, it's like I can just take because taking the boat across would help not having to go down the elevator or the cliffside entrance, but I don't have the cliffside entrance open because I need the power
right.
sledge to go back downstairs. But anyway, so yeah, but I like how it's just like layered because early on it's like because the one puzzle I'm not sure how it comes into play is the missing letter between the pictures. I'm like, where does this? Because I started
That's
writing them down. but I
I'm
don't know
okay,
where
so
that comes into play.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that was one of the theories I was gonna say that since you've commented on, I feel like I can talk about. I feel like so I know like a tiny bit more than you, but I don't think it's in the spoiler way. And I just won't mention the stuff that I know a tiny bit more of. But I feel like there are like 3 to 5 puzzles that I know exist or see exist, and the pictures is a good one, where I've started writing down the letters, but I don't know like I feel like I'm solving the puzzle, but I don't know what it's a puzzle to. And I feel like I have certain things like that where there are quite a few where, like, they seem significant, but I don't know what they're actually answering, and I don't know if it's an extension of the game itself or if it's, God, what was the other puzzle? Like, the dig spot by the tents where I found the solution to it just by digging randomly, and the actual puzzle that solved it was
Mhm.
something, like, further on in the game. So, like, the pictures is another one where I recognize that this is the answer to something, but I don't know if what it's solving is something that I've already figured out on my own just by logic, or I feel like there are a few puzzles in the game that have like 2 or 3 ways to solve it. So like the billiard room, the dartboard, just because it's an early on puzzle, like you can solve it by going to the billiard room and just looking at the chalkboard itself for like the earlier level ones. But you can also solve it by going to the classrooms, which show the math problems as well.
But
So
you can't get the classrooms until you get the outside room and get the school there, which then gives you the classrooms typically.
right, but, like, basically that there are 2 ways that you could learn about how the billiard puzzle works,
Sure.
um, and I don't know if, like, the missing letter art puzzle is one that's, like, a secondary solution to something I've already solved, or if it's something totally different. Because I have found a few puzzles that I've solved that really were just providing context to get to the antechamber, and I was kind of like, "Okay, well, yeah, I already found that out myself." Like, I found some puzzles that solved where the levers for the antechamber were,
Mhm.
and they were kind of, like, significantly after I actually made it to the antechamber. So that's what I'm unclear of is what the heck these puzzles are solving. And I feel like that I don't know the answer to your question of whether there's more to the game, but I feel like once or if that falls into place and clicks, that will answer that question.
Yeah, because that's the picture was the only one that's really open for me right now. It's like, that's it. Like, because 'cause I'm at what I assume is the end or close to the end by getting to the main objective of the game. I just have to build my way there. But I'm like, the only hanging chat I have is just what do the missing letters mean? And maybe they relate to some final step of the thing. But I'm like, I kept track of some, like, and I'd like put them through like an anagram descrambler thing just to see like what I can get. But I'm like, it wasn't like every single combination. I'm like, I don't if it is important, I'm gonna be annoyed because 'cause I'm like, I don't wanna have to put down every room to get every picture. Because I found, like, the thing where I go, "Okay, these ones aren't in like, these are unused, letters or unused
Right.
combinations we haven't done yet." And it's like, "Okay, that's great." But I'm like, I don't wanna have to if this is important, it feels like whatever it is, it should just be a small thing, not like it shouldn't be like the final step. What I'm curious too is like there's that bit where you find out about you read about the symbols and the glyphs and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, and you have the outer thing. I'm like, but I haven't seen those anywhere either. I'm like,
So, okay, that's another one that I've commented on or like that I'm tracking that I also haven't seen. And then I'm debating if I should say like a slight spoiler or something that I know you have open that you probably haven't considered. I probably
no,
shouldn't mention it.
no, don't say anything.
But yeah, all this to say is like I feel like I have some open puzzles, but or some open answers, but I have no idea what the fuck they are to, and that's challenging.
Yeah, because I feel like that's the like getting that information is fine, but I've never seen them. So I'm like, okay, it just talks about them, but you don't see it. And I'm sure there's like other things too. Like the other small stuff I said I could do is like the bookstore sells a bunch of books that you could buy. And hold on.
Well, and this is like a very minor theory, but one of my thoughts or theories is like how it could continue after the start is like lore and backstory. Because I feel like a lot of times in puzzle games you'll see the puzzle continuations will just be for like story
Lore stuff.
beats.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, well, that could kind of work. If you've achieved your main goal, it could be lore stuff or it could be DLC stuff. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I'm sure it could just be lore, like, because you find about you read the one book and it's like it's all redacted, but you can get the first edition from the bookstore. It costs just like 50 coins. So it's like, okay, if you want lore, more lore stuff, you got that. But as far as like actual, like, because that's why I started wondering about the chess puzzles. Like, okay, is this actually going to be good, or is it going to be like
What
working
did the
to
chess
get the
puzzle
camp?
actually solve? Because I found that puzzle and then just didn't solve it.
If you solve the chess puzzle, you choose a chess piece that gives you a permanent buff, and then if you and it stays with you forever unless you resolve the chess puzzle, and then you can choose a different buff.
Is it a good
Uh,
buff?
yeah, so, like, I picked the king. If you pick the king, every time you start the day, you can pick a color, and rooms of that color have a higher probability to spawn.
Oh,
And
that
so,
is a
like,
good one.
I'm like, "That's really good." And there's, like, the if you pick the pawn, it's like once you get to rank 8, you can pick the abilities of any of the other chess pieces. The bishop makes it to where you don't get hit with the penance cost, but whenever you enter the chapel, you get 30 coins. Then the queen, anytime you build, on the west side, the queen's rooms, you lose 4 steps, but you gain a key every time you build a room. I'm like, okay, so if you want to farm keys, that's a way to do it. The knight gives you the blueprint for the armory, which I don't know what the benefit for it is. I think what someone when I was listening to someone talk vaguely, I think what that does is the armory sells like must be like a torch or something to light the candles, so you don't have to build the other method. So it's like, oh, the other way to light torches is just to get this, and then yeah, so those are all the pieces. So I just picked the king because I'm like I choosing the rooms is great because if I want the tomb, I need that color. So I'm like,
Yeah.
there you go. So that's like a puzzle. Like, okay, this puzzle's worth it because like it's a nice permanent buff, yada yada. But it's like the lab puzzle. Like there's that big like divert power to lab. I'm like, is it useful to do this or does it just give me like I've done other puzzles like the puzzle box. Like, oh, you get 2 more coins in your allowance. Okay, you get this. Okay, that's great. It's like
That was one of the other things I've kind of wondered is, like, are a lot of these big puzzles just permanent buffs that help you beat the game
yeah,
that you don't super need once you've beaten the game?
yeah, yeah.
But, like,
Like
some
it.
of them I think maybe this kinda ties into one of my, like, I don't know if this is a critique because I don't know enough about the game yet, but I'm curious about the progression and difficulty of puzzles because at times it seems like the harder puzzles are for things that are actually earlier in the game and aren't well, I'm gonna come back to the tenth one of, like, finding that dig spot just by exploring is ridiculously easy, like, very, very obvious. So the puzzle to solve it, I'm not saying the puzzle is like extremely challenging, but it's kind of gated behind a few things. And I do kind of wonder like if all of these complicated puzzles are things that like should have probably come up earlier in gameplay, but due to the roguelite element don't. And therefore they're puzzles that you're solving that don't really matter. In which case then I would have a critique of it. Or if it's stuff that's, late game content, in which case that's kind of cool.
Well, to be fair, the puzzle, the tent dig site, you have to have the shovel in order for the icon prompt to show up that something's interactable. Because if you go up to like a dirt mound, there's no interactive prompt because you don't have the shovel. So
Sure.
to be fair, it's like you just happen to have the right combination. If you have the item you need and you just happen to be in the same spot, it's kind of like I did. But also, I've heard people say like they didn't realize they can explore the grounds outside the manor for the first couple days. Like they didn't consider to go outside and explore. So there's like there are people who don't. They just stick to the house like it
Yeah, that
was.
feels like a personal problem though. Like you really never turned around 180 degrees from your start point.
Well, to be
Like
fair,
really?
the gate to the orchard isn't open on day 1, or at least not
No,
the
but
gate, but, like, that pathway, so there are some that are blocked up. It's like, "Okay, maybe there's nothing I could do out here," and, like, you can't see the stairs in the water in the fountain, so it doesn't, show up there, and
I
the one
think you
gate is locked.
can. I think if you go outside right from the start, you can see pretty far.
I guess, but you can't see the stairs, though, like, the stairs in the fountain, like, they don't you can't see through the water. Like, there's coins at the bottom of the swimming pool, but you can't see the coins at the bottom of the pool.
Okay, that's fair.
And so it's like you don't know there's stairs in the fountain until you drain it, and then the stairs show up. It's like, yeah, you should be able to look through the water, but there's obviously the gate that goes to the left side, which leads to the outer room. Like that should be the dead giveaway. You got a Miyazaki door. It's like,
Right.
okay, something's there. But like I say, whatever. Yeah, sure, you go and you don't initially walk outside. What have you. But yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, if it just leads to small little buffs, like I said, solving the little puzzle boxes is fine. Man, you did yourself a huge disservice by not playing on one file because man, those dartboard puzzles get insane. when you start getting later days, man. They get
I
I was doing last night, they were fucking nuts.
I've gotten some of the uh, I won't spoil it in case you haven't gotten them. I've gotten up to the dartboard puzzles that have squiggly lines, if that answers your
Yeah,
question.
I've had the squiggly lines and the 3rd, the fractions. I've had
I don't
those.
think I haven't had fractions. I've had the squiggly lines, and then I had the squiggly lines. I've had the diamond, um,
Well, yeah,
and the
that's
square.
this progression. It goes square and then diamond, and then it goes to the 3rd slices, with the
Yeah,
1/3, the fraction bit, and then it goes to the squiggly lines. And then I was like, I had to look up. I was like, what the hell does a squiggly line mean? 'Cause I'm not going to brute force this. Like I got
that was one
one.
that is visible in the classroom.
Yeah, but I didn't go back. I didn't take that picture, and I didn't also rebuild the classroom. Like I should have taken the photo because I looked up, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna just because I guessed what the first squiggly lines were. I'm like, I'm assuming it's rounding because like the math problem was giving me a decimal place, so like
Yeah,
6.5. I'm like, I'm gonna assume it means to round, and I did 7, and 7 was right. But then I did one. I was like, I the other one I did it was squiggly lines again. I'm like, well, it's 6.3, so the answer is 6. And it's like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, well, something's wrong."
incorrect.
I'm like but then it's like, "Oh," so I have to look up. I'm like, "I gotta look up what the squiggly lines." He's like, "Oh, if it's 2 squiggly lines, you round to the nearest 1. If it's 4, you do to the nearest 10." And then it's like and then there's like 6 is to the nearest 100. And I'm like, "Okay." But I had one where it was like, I did it, and I'm like, "Okay, I round it, and I hit 10, and nothing happened. And then I had to hit 10 again, and then it moved to the next puzzle." And I was like, "Was that a glitch?" So I reset the board, went back, and yeah, I had to like it was the because the number was like 13 was the answer, so I had to round it to the nearest 10. I'm like, "Okay, that's 10." So I hit the 10, then I hit 10 again. I was like, "Why did I have to hit 10 twice?" Like the first time I've ever had to push a button twice.
I've had
Um,
a few where I feel like the input I've clicked is not the input it actually accepts, to the point where I'm kind of like, it sometimes seems like the squiggly lines are a little bit, like just a tiny bit glitched or something. Not the squiggly line, sorry. The dartboard is a tiny bit glitched, or like if you go too quickly, there's like input lag.
But it pushed, like, the button depressed, like, it wasn't like I clicked it and it didn't go, like, it depressed, pushed all the way in, and it's only been that one time, and it was repeatable. So, it was unique to that specific solution. For some reason, it made me push 10 twice, every time. But, yeah, like, the squiggly lines was, like, driving me crazy because it was, like, squiggly lines plus, the 3rd pie slice, and then it was like, oh my god, I was getting, like I was solving them, but it was, like, trying to remember, like, the order of operations, like, okay, typically, you do when you square it, you do this, and then think I didn't and then there's also, like, a 3rd, another step of dartboard puzzle I haven't gotten to yet, but, like, man, it's something man, this I've been tricked up so many times too by the like, when I get to the logic puzzles of the parlor room, I'm like, I'm just
I
gonna
was
go
gonna
with the
say that
bugs.
the parlor room logic puzzles are one of the ones that have gotten me. That they started off in the game, and I'm like, wow, these are really easy. Like these are extraordinarily easy logic puzzles, and they're definitely at the point now where I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're sounding like, "Okay, the state all the boxes with true statements are empty. Okay, all the boxes next to this are true. This" and like, because typically, like, if any of the 1 boxes references a gem, that's the most important box. Like, that's the key to where the gem is. But if none of the box I had one where it's like, the box next to this box is true, and then the other one's like, "The boxes next to this box are true, and the boxes next to this box are true." I'm like, "Okay, well, you can't all be true." But you also don't 2 of you don't have boxes, or anytime it uses the word both, it's like both, of these are true, and I'm like, "Okay, well, it could be false and still mean one's true, just not both are true." And it's like and then I get caught up in this weird logic puzzle. I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna guess."
Have
I
you
wish it
gotten
would
the blank boxes yet?
Oh, yeah, I've had plenty of blank boxes. I'm like, "Okay, you're out of the running."
Yeah,
Unless something says, like, the gems are in the white box, and then I'm like, "Okay."
those ones are like always fucking throw me off. When I first got my one that was blank, I was just like, what the hell is this? Like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
This is what I have to deal with now?
yeah, it's whenever the logic puzzle boxes don't call out a gem position, then I'm like, "Okay, now this is like, I gotta really think," but I don't wanna sit on it for too long. Like, I'll sit on the dartboard because I like math, but I'm not gonna sit in the logic puzzle for, like, that long. It's like, I'll just sit on it for a bit and click it, in the top. It's like it's so funny looking at my stats, like how many times you've gotten the parlor room, how many times you've actually solved the puzzle. And it's like, okay, I missed like 9 of them, and it sucks that I missed one dartboard, but that's because I spawned the room, but I didn't actually go into it because it was like
Oh,
late
that
game.
would
So
frustrate
like,
me.
yeah, I was like,
That would
damn it.
really
And it's
frustrate me.
like, oh well. I also realized I didn't when you kept talking about early, like early in the week, you're like, oh man, the lab has some good experience that can pop in and yada yada. I didn't realize that you can actually run the experiments. I thought the experiments were tied to powering up the lab, so I never did them
No.
early on. So I'm like, oh man, because I watched an L and he did like a he's like, oh, I'm in the lab, and he happened to go on the computer. I'm like, wait, is this what Isley was talking about? I thought you need power. And then he's like, he did a thing like every time you do this, you add 1 coin permanently to your allowance. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was
Yeah,
like,
the that was the lab experiment I got. Like, I've had a few lab experiments that, like, absolutely cranked up my allowance, and then I had God, what was the combo I really liked? I got one that added chests to the entrance hall, which is a
yeah,
fairly common, like, result, but I'm trying to blank on what the trigger was, because whatever the trigger was something that was really easy to achieve, to the point where
for
I
I think
had just, like, a shit ton of chests in the entrance hall, and then I
yeah,
had a garage right next to the lab. So I basically triggered it all, ran out, got a bunch of chests, opened them all, and then ended up coming away with, like, I don't know, it was like 5 to 10 keys, 5 to 10 gems, and like a
yeah.
handful of gold.
Yeah, I had one where it was like I think every 2 hallways I make, like, spawns chests, but I'm like, "Yeah, but if I don't have keys," I'm like, I don't want this." But, there it's fun, like, I love when I get, like, a run where it's I just get, like, great synergies of stuff, like, I had the one where it's like I think with the hovel or whatever, where it's like, "Oh, rooms don't cost gem, they cost steps." So then I just have a ton of gems, and then I get the study, and it's like every time, you can spend a gem to rotate, rooms, or is it the study that there was one where, like, it was gems
Study
to
is re-roll, and
to
then
reroll, which is the
there
one that
is
lets you
one to rotate.
oh, to rotate is you have to donate 2 coins to the altar, and then that lets you rotate for a couple days, um, which is nice, like because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, that's actually not bad." Like, I don't wanna spend the gems, but it's, like, not a bad upgrade for a couple days. Because I think the tier 4 upgrade, like because once I got my allowance, I'm like, "Oh, let's see what 4 coins in the altar gives," and I think it's, like, it's not I think it's, like, every time you make, a certain either you step into or you build it's like it gives you a redraw die. Like, that's not bad, but, like, the 10 is horrible because it's like you could put in 10, and it's like, "Oh, you draw red rooms more frequently." I'm like, "I don't want that nonsense." And then but, yeah, I did the one where it's like if you could rotate with triangle or with the gems, like, that's great, but then, like, when I got the study, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome because I had a ton of I also got the experiment was every time I entered a bedroom, I reset my steps to 40. So I'm like, "This is great because 'cause I'm spending steps for gem rooms. I have a bunch of gems, I could redraw," and it was like that was a run where I got to the antechamber and I get, like, the other day already. It was like it was just a great run of, like, the synergy of all these different mechanics in the game coming together. I'm like, "This is awesome." Like, I got, like, a great roll. It's like a good run in Balatro where it's like, I got some great jokers. I can let's do this, and I got, like it's that feeling when you get those great runs. 'Cause I've had other runs where it's like, "Oh, this is good," but then, like, I dead end myself on rank 3 somehow. I'm like, "Damn it." And I'm like, "I have a bunch of keys and gems," and I'm like,
I
"Where the
think one of
hell's the
my
freezer,
biggest
man?"
yeah, I think one of my biggest frustrations is when you get, like, a really good starting run, and I don't know if you do this, but, like, I have a, like, set way I build out at the start typically, just out of habit, and it really frustrates me when you get, like, a really solid start, and then you get, like, 4 dead end rooms in a row, and you're just like, "Well, there goes that run."
Yeah, when I was playing yesterday, I had, I think it was like the first was it yesterday? Yeah, it was like or maybe it was Friday night, one of the nights anyways, I had like the first 2 runs were scuffed, and then I got like some really good runs back to back, and I kept having the problem I had was like, I typically like, oh, I always build like left, and then, I go up and I get like if I want the garage, I get the keys, whatever, but I was trying to get the ladyship's room to spawn, I'm like, "Okay, I'll build up first from the entrance, then go left, try to get the west hall to
Is that
spawn,"
the
but the
one that you
west
have
hall
to build down from?
Okay, so you have to build down off the west hall, but her room also can spawn off other rooms that aren't the west hall. Like I kept getting the veranda, and then it would like, oh, here's the ladyship's room. I'm like the one where I got the chest, where I finally got all the chest pieces. I was like, why did it spawn? I've had it spawn off the veranda as well some other times. I'm like, why does it keep spawning? Because the rules say like it'll more likely to spawn off the west hall, but every time I couldn't get the west hall to spawn. And then if I did, like, if I go build south, it wouldn't do her ladyship's room, and I'm like, "Damn it, I need the freaking queen to show up, man." Uh, Also, there's, like, so many more pawns than I realized. Like, I was keeping track of, okay, the Nook's got the rook. Oh, the security has the knight, yada, yada. Bishop, it should be in I'm like, "The bishop should be in the chapel." Sure enough, bishop was in the chapel. And then I'm like, "Okay, where's the king?" "Probably in the office." And then, of course, I got the office in the shop. I'm like, "Okay, it's gotta be somewhere else." I forget if I got the other room it's in. I know there's, like, a trophy room. I'm sure it's probably there or, like, some other room that they've got that I haven't
I
drawn
thought,
before.
oh yeah, the king is. I was gonna say I thought the office is the queen, but I guess the
No,
office is the king.
yeah, the queen's the ladyship's room and the study. And then it was just like trying to get the study, and then now I gotta get the pawn. But yeah, it's just I like it. It is fun, but it does make it to where like again NL's like making a lot more progress faster than I am. But he also missed things that either chat didn't call out or what have you. Where like he spawned. Oh, that's the other thing too. I want to when you make the thing that lets you light candles. It says can light candles and fuses, and I'm like, yo, there's that room that you can put in the outer room that has, like, the TNT. I'm like, "Can I light that shit on fire and blow that place up?" Because it says I
I've
probably shouldn't
wanted
take
to
this.
do that because you click on it and it's like, "That's unstable, you shouldn't take it." But I feel like I also this is kinda going back to the puzzles. I have, like, a list of things where I haven't had the item combination, but realized something is interactable and, like, haven't put together item plus room plus steps to actually get there yet. And I just wanna know what so many of them do, and that's one of them. Is I just wanna know if it blows something up.
Yeah. I was like, does this must work?" But I'm like, now I have to make the thing again. I mean, I guess I could try to get the night power and then get the torch and then try that, but I'm like, "Can I blow up?" But then I have to get the room to spawn, I have to do it, and then I have to get the magnifying glass plus I mean, at least the magnifying glass is only 2 pieces, whereas, like, some of the other stuff is annoying, but, like, making that one water was it what do they call it? Water switch, whatever thing? The water
The pump room?
no, 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 no. The thing what's the thing they call where, like, you have a stick and it, like, leads you to water?
The dowsing rod.
Dowsing rod, there we go. Like, when you make that, I'm like, "That could be good," but I'm like, "You'd have to build that early
And
on."
I've tried making that and using that so many times, and I just like every time I make it, what is it uses the shovel, right?
It's the shovel
Yeah, and the compass.
and the compass, yeah.
Yeah, every time I make it, I'm just like, I wish I had the shovel back. I wish I had the shovel back. I've yet to have a
Yeah,
run where like I got the dowsing rod and thought that it was good because like I also feel like the dowsing rod, the problem with it is it points to the room that has more items in it. But usually I'm not building out a place to get significantly more items. It's to do the path. And usually the room that has more items in it that the dowsing rod points to doesn't have the doorways that I need. So it's kind of
but
like, what's the point building it?
if you have a lot of, like sometimes I'll, like I have a lot of runs where I'll have, like, "Ooh, this is a nice dead end, like, three-step dead end area that I can just put a bunch of rooms to get items or something." It's like being able to choose, like, if it's even a 1 or 2 slot spot, I could be like, "Okay, let's just pick the one that has the items and get those because it's a dead end
Yeah, that
anyways."
that
Like
could be useful. I think that's really challenging because it's like then you need the compass, the shovel, which the
and the
shovel is kind
room.
of easy to get, but the compass is not, and then the workroom itself is kind of hard to get. So it's like unless you build it near the end and then you're coat checking it to start a fresh run during a new day. But the problem with coat checking is like if you're coat checking to start a new run, then you run into the same problem I just said, which is that like chances are you probably want the shovel and or if you're starting a fresh run with the dowsing rod, you probably are going to be choosing rooms and building out rooms based on path, not
But
based on like items.
at least the percentage of the extra items being in rooms that you actually want early on is gonna be high. Because like, usually I find, like, there's at least 2 of the 3 blueprints that are worth it in those first few ranks, where it's like, either of them could be good, but I usually pick one because like, do I want the gem or the key? Do I want the gem or the key? So it's like, the odds of it being like, "Oh, if the gem one has more stuff, I'll build this." And then plus get the extra stuff from the Oscar. But yeah, again, it's like there are mechanics where I like I wish you could do a workshop in the outer room because yeah, yeah, like you say, the shovel's so easy to get. Like I feel like the shovel, I had issues trying to get the shovel for so long because in the demo, the shovel used to always spawn whenever you built the one garden area that has the 4 doors. And it has the little. It typically has like a you could upgrade to get 2 gems, and it has like the one item that will lean up against the wall, and it has like the 4 triangle pieces in the trees. I forget what they call it. It's not the cloister, not the one that has the wall that you can't get the dig spots
Talking
to.
about the courtyard?
Courtyard, yeah.
Courtyard
Like
has
that
3 doors in it.
whatever, 3 doors.
Yeah, the
But
courtyard's
that one,
really
like,
hit or miss. Like, sometimes it's great, and sometimes you spend a gem on it, and it's just like, "Well, there's fucking nothing in here."
yeah, I upgraded it to always have 2 gems, so it's always worth a do, but that in the demo, like, there was a really high probability that the shovel would be in that room. So in the game, I was always building that 'cause I'm like, "I want the shovel," especially once you get the thing where it's like rooms have more dig spots. I'm like, "Give me the shovel," and it's like, I just couldn't get the shovel, man. I'd get, like, the sledgehammer, I'd get the metal detector, I'd get a lever, like, anytime a place gave me a shovel, it's like I just couldn't get the shovel for the life of me, and it's like, yeah, I wish or have the coat check be an outside room or something. It's like, I wish there was a way to like, I'm wondering what kinda upgrades you can get for the coat check. Like, the upgrade for the mail room that lets you get the stuff at the front entrance is so good. I'm like, "That's a great upgrade because it's like, "Oh, just throw this here, tomorrow I get something great." And then I've had so many runs too where I do the observatory and I get, like, a great upgrade, but then it's like a scuffed run. I'm like, "Well, that didn't help me at all."
I know, I think that's the painful part of, like, the roguelite element of this.
For sure.
I saw Northern Lion make a comment about the game that I think was really appropriate, which is that, like, the best way to play is that you don't go into a run with a specific goal. You go into a run exploring, and then you have a list of things you can do, and then, like,
Right.
after you've built it out, then you decide what you're gonna go for. But,
Sure,
like,
I
not
mean, that
going in with a specific thing right off the bat.
right. Well, I mean, that's what you do in any roguelike, right? Like even Balatro, it's like, okay, I know we have to beat this run. I'm not going to go for a specific hand. I'm not going to do play like Full House or something. I'll just see what jokers I get early, and then whatever they do, I'll build my run based around those jokers if those jokers scale well. And it's like there's a lot of runs, and like I did that where it's like my main goal was always just to get to the antechamber, and it's like everything else is just let's just build new rooms, see what it is. And it's like, and that's fine in your first couple days, but eventually you get to the point where, yeah, my only objective are get to the antechamber, solve the chess piece puzzle. So I have to actually spawn those rooms. So I'm trying to get those rooms to spawn. It's not like eventually you get to a point where it's no longer you're getting something new every day, even when you fail. You get to a point where you have to have specific objectives. And so it's like I didn't run into this problem early on because obviously that's the way the game works. But it's later where it's like, okay, I only have two
Well,
things I can do.
I'll disagree with that sort of, which is that's a true statement if there are no greater puzzles in the game, but if there are greater puzzles in the game and you are working towards those greater puzzles at an earlier stage, then there are still things you can do. And that's just something that we probably don't have a good idea of yet. Like uh, uh, the art music letter one, for example. Like that is a goal you could work towards. We just don't know if it's actually worthwhile.
The art music letter. You mean just
Sorry,
the
not
art letters?
music, the art letters where it's like the missing letters. Yeah, I was blanking on it. But like that is one where it could be a big goal in the game and something that like is worth working towards of building out the room to try to get rooms in specific areas. Same thing with like the boiler puzzles and powering things. Same thing with the pump room. We
Sure.
just aren't super sure if that's actually something that's like similarly important as reaching the antechamber or if it's just like, raise your allowance by two.
Right. But I mean, where I am at right now, it's like even if you were trying to do the picture missing letter puzzles, it's like eventually you'll get to a point to where you have to spawn like I need to spawn the casino or something because like I need to find out what pictures are in the casino. Like you get to a point where the basic floor plans, like you're trying to get specific stuff. Like I need to find out what's in the ladyship's what pictures are in her room, what pictures in the office, what pictures are in the pump room. So I have to spawn the pool in order to get the pump room, or I have to do this to get this room. It's like you're still gonna get stuck regardless. Like, you'll get to that point even with the pictures. It's like, yeah, you just throw down and just make sure you jot down, okay, here's the hallway, here's this room, here's the trophy room, here's whatever, here's the drafting room. But then you get to a spot where like, okay, I need these extra rooms, so I need the observatory. So I have to my goal here is to craft the observatory. So you'll get down there. Yeah, early on, it's like, yeah, just do whatever. It's very free form, like in your first couple days. But eventually you'll get to a point where it's like, okay, you have to have goals, whether or not you're going to get there because the RNG is, one thing or another.
Right.
But so yeah, it's like this and that. But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it overall. Like I said, the only one things that can be frustrating is like, yeah, if you get a run that's bad, there's also I wish there was better saving item mechanics. Like I like the coat check. I wish I don't know. I guess you could because there's the chance you could spawn it or get the thing where you can change the rarity of the coat check if you're lucky in the conservatory to actually draw that floor plan. Because that's always
Right.
sucks when I get that room. It's like, oh, the 3 plans of God's like, I don't want to make any of these better because like these aren't rooms that I want. It's like, "Give me the mailroom or something."
Man, I got so pissed by the gear wrench because I didn't realize how it worked, and I made uh I thought when you were adjusting rarity, like higher rarity was better.
Uh-uh.
So I can't remember what I made worse, but like thankfully it only took like 2 or 3 runs to undo it, like just out of sheer luck. But man, I was so pissed when I realized I'd done that backwards and fucked myself.
That's so funny. What room did you make Omega difficult?
I made God, what was it? I made one of the rare rooms even rarer. I think it was either the garage or it was like laboratory or something. It was a room that like I actually wanted, and for some reason my brain was like, yeah, rarity. Of course higher rarity is better. Because like other games, whatever. But that God, that one pissed me off.
I Can you really change the rarity of the garage? Because the garage always spawns in those same 2 spots.
I don't remember what it was. It was like one of those types of rooms though. Like it wasn't like a den type room. It was like one of the rooms that is essentially you want it because you are exploring.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny though that you got it there. But yeah, there are some mechanics because it is, and man, it is crazy thinking like, oh, I'm at 40 something, and then like Al, I was talking to Al in chat, and he's like, he beat it on day I think 32 is when he beat it. And then because I feel like it's also game two where like when NL was first playing it, like he streamed it for like 4.5 hours, I think. And I feel like it's a game where if you could play it for a longer session, also streaming it very different than not streaming it. And then also, if I could play it for longer, I feel like that'd be more beneficial because then, like, maybe I would have remembered about the door beneath the fountain, and then I wouldn't have screwed myself over on that one run. Obviously, I should
Yeah.
have just taken the note, like, "Hey, this is where it is." But like, there are some things where, like, okay, what if I do here? Like when I went down to the, like, maybe I would have noticed the chapel, paid more attention to the chapel, and being like, oh, so then by the time I got down to the tomb, I could have figured that one out a lot quicker. Uh,
I feel
but
like the part that you're missing by streaming it is you don't get the downtime of sitting with the game and like a notebook and working through a puzzle without anyone commenting or essentially just being on camera. Like you don't get the journal time.
Well, but the thing is I also get to talk it out loud, which does help. So there are like, when I was what was I doing?
Oh God,
I
what was
was,
the puzzle I said I wanted to talk about with you?
I don't know. I was, I
Oh,
don't,
I remember. Have you figured out the office puzzle yet?
yeah, you were on stream when I solved it because you were like, "Why do you think that guy's account?" I'm like, "The fuck? Did you never see like Lemony Snicket's?"
No, you
Like,
didn't solve it. You called it quits when I was there.
no, I solved it.
No, not
Yes, I
when I
did.
was there.
You
No.
must have left. I solved it. Like, I went back to it. I think we went back to it later in the same.
Okay, so the thing I wanted to comment on, which was cracking me up, is you had like brilliant gamer logic while you were working through that puzzle because like instantly you were counting like I was laughing my ass off because instantly you were like, okay, March, and you were like, and the counts, so I need to count the number of counts in March. I think you had like that it was a date immediately. Um, and you had that gamer logic where you figured that part out within like 15 seconds and then you spent like 20 minutes trying everything else when your like literal first idea was the correct idea. And it was
Well, the
cracking me up that I was like, man, you like you got so fucking close and then got I can't remember what actually threw you off, but like you got so fucking close in your logic of solving it and then just had like a weird distraction that led you in a different direction.
it was the rest of the book because it said, March of the Counts, and that was right, but the rest was written in red, and red notes and stuff written in red is true, and I was like, obviously, at looking when I went back to it, I'm like, "Okay, I should just ignore this, and it's probably just Lorelei," and I'm like, March, I bet, is just the month," and that's when I figured that one out. It was so funny, I'm like, "This is the same code that was, like, my punch-in clock code at work,"
Yeah.
for the longest time when I used to have to punch in, but, because I was like, "Oh, there's Counts, there's Baron, there's, lords, and there's this." I'm like, okay, maybe it's like each one of them. Because there is another puzzle I saw yesterday on someone's stream for a secret. There's a secret safe in another room that someone stumbled upon. And then when they solved that one, I was like, it was another counting thing. And I was like, oh, so now when I go back, I'm gonna go do that puzzle. I didn't see what the final answer was, so I'm gonna have to do it myself. But I was like, "Whoa, secret safe I didn't even know about?" And then but yeah, I was like, "Okay, I'll count this, and maybe it'll be, like, the number of them because that's very gamer, like, how
Yeah.
many of these are in the thing, I'll punch them in, and but I was like, "They're red." I'm like, "Okay, well, they're listed in the order, so the order would if it was standard video game, it'd be like the order is This is digit 1, this is digit 2, digit 3, digit 4,
Right.
and I tried and that's what was throwing me off, it's like I was punching in those, and later I'm like, "What if it's just" because the one was Christmas, I'm like,
Yeah.
"That's it," I'm like, "What if it's just March as in March?" And then I just typed in I'm like, "I guess you just
So
do 0?" And I was like, "Yeah."
you came up with another thing that like is a later game puzzle I solved that is such a weird puzzle. So there's a later game puzzle that you solve and it tells you that the solution to the boudoir is like a date. And it's such a weird thing to solve at the end of the game because by that point you've probably seen the boudoir like I don't know a dozen times, 20 times. Like you've seen it enough that frankly you should know how it's solved by now or else like wow, I can't believe you didn't find it. But there are so many like puzzles like that where I'm just like why does this complex puzzle and solution happen to like an earlier game easy puzzle? And is there more to it because of that?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be like just like, "Hey, in case anybody doesn't get it, we'll give them the answer to this." Like, we'll tell them like, "Hey, there's the secret, yada yada," in case someone doesn't get it. But it's like, I mean, how many people are gonna look at a picture of Christmas and be like, "Oh, I bet it's Christmas is the code," and then, but again, that because I played Lorelei,
I
so
think
I'm like,
I was going to say I think part of it for me is like it's escape room logic, which is
yeah.
or at least I realized early on it's escape room logic where every puzzle probably has a solution that's within that room
Well,
with the
there's
exception
like
of like there are larger branching puzzles but like in
sure, sure, sure.
general it seems like every puzzle basically has a solution contained within the room that you are currently in.
Yeah, if
And
there's a
once I
safe in the
realized
room, that's the solution's in the room.
yeah, and
Yeah.
once I realized that, it was, like, a lot easier to actually hunt through and find things, because I was just like, "Oh, yeah, of course, whatever the answer is, it's gotta be in here somewhere," and then it's like, "Okay, well, the only thing that really stands out is the frickin' postcard that says, yeah, or it's clearly during Christmas or something."
Mhm. Yeah. Like, there's the safe in the study, and I was like, "Okay, I feel like the chessboard has to be the answer." I'm like but I'm like, "Okay, it's D8." I'm like, how do I put that in?" I'm like, "There must be more." I'm like, I was at it was at the end of a run. I'm like, "I'm just not gonna waste my time spent on it." But then I was thinking about it later. I was like, it's probably just" I'm like, "The solution must be just, again, Lorelei, where it's everything else has been dates, essentially." It's like,
Mhm.
D just must be December. Like, it must be 1208 is the answer. But I have to get the study to go back and punch it in, but, like, that has to be the answer. Um, but it's which is funny then because the secret one, the secret safe isn't a date, it is just, a number of things. So I'm like, "Okay, that's funny that was not a date," but, like, the office is, it's half a date. It's a date essentially for the study, and it's a date for the boudoir. And then where is okay, I probably missed this item, and I'm sure it was at what's her name's tomb. Is the key for the one diary in the ladyship's bedroom, is that at her tomb?
Haven't solved that yet. I
Okay.
didn't find a key in the tomb,
Because yeah,
but
I went to the tomb and they have the box, I updated my allowance. I think there's also a disc, maybe, or a letter? There's a letter, but
there's
it's, like, written in French or something.
there's an upgrade disc in the tomb.
There's also the upgrade disc
Or
at the
not an
end, so,
upgrade
like, I
disk,
haven't
sorry. In the basement, there's an upgrade disk. In the tomb itself, I don't think there are any items that spawn, with the exception like, the tomb has, like, 5 coins or something that you can find when
but,
you
yeah
first go in there, and I know it
yeah,
gets more
yeah.
with dead ends, but, like, it has, like, 5 coins that spawn at the start, and then there is a torn map or something, and I kinda feel like that's all that's in the tomb.
Well, I mean, once you light the 2 candles and you go to her her tomb,
Oh,
Maria's tomb.
God, I only did that once.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it, I was like, "Man, where would this key be?" And because I went back and I didn't go back. I'm like, "Okay, well," I was trying to remember if I explored her room in full, and sometimes I miss keys, like, even when I have the metal detector, like, it'll be like,
Oh, yeah,
"Beep,
I
beep,"
have
like,
that all
"Where's
the
the key?"
time,
I'm
and I'm
like,
like,
"Oh, it's a little line on the floor."
the
And
cell
I'll miss it.
shading.
But, yeah, because there's the box that you solve, which I hate that inverted version where, like, it rotates the stuff. I hate that one versus the one where it just turns on and off the colors next to it. But, I did that box, and there's the note that's written in, like, French or something, some weird language. I'm sure it's probably a cipher or something like that. And then I was like, I feel like if a key for her journal would be anywhere in there, but I didn't have the metal detector, and I have to go back there, which means I'd have to make the thing to light the candles again. Because I'm wondering, like, how useful is her journal actually going to be? But anyways, but yeah, that's it. I'm enjoying the game. Like I said, I'm right there. I just have to go back to the antechamber. And what sucks is like when I learned about where the south door lever was, I'm like, oh, the lever's in the hallway of locked doors. I'm like, okay, that's great. But I'm like, which corner door is it in? Because I'm like,
Oh, it
"Uh,
changes.
it changes. Okay, that's gonna be annoying. Because I'm like, you
Yep.
have to have so many keys per
Yep.
freaking
No,
room.
it absolutely changes because I thought that was maybe the most consistent, and then I had like 3 runs in a row where not 3 runs in a row, but like 3 runs in a row where I got that specific room and was able to test my theory, and I was like, "Oh, I've figured it out. It's always in exactly this corner. I've got it." And then like I had it a 4th time and it wasn't there anymore, and I'm like, "You motherfucker."
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm like, okay, at least that one, like, if I can get it to be consistent, that's a decent room to because you can get it pretty decently to spawn, but you need a lot of keys. Because I'm like, okay, getting the broken lever could be tough, but at least I get the greenhouse to spawn a lot, and because I filled that shit up with water, like, I get the gem
I
flowers all
have
the time.
the so much trouble getting the greenhouse to spawn. I feel like there's a logic to getting it to spawn, but I haven't had the library to check the drafting, like the architectural drafting digest or whatever they call it, to see what the actual logic is because I feel like the greenhouse is never fucking there. Like
Well,
it's
it's
just
there's
always gone.
I get it a lot, but, like, because there's so many fertile soil spots on the right side, like, I feel like I can get it to spawn very frequently. Like, I've had it spawn on rank 3,
Is that what it has to be that has to spawn in a fertile spot?
well, it's like the same for the secret garden, like, you have to build the secret garden on the fertile locations as well. Um,
No, the secret garden doesn't have to be on the fertile locations. The secret garden is just based off of
the key.
the key on the east or west. It can be any spot as long as it's a key the east or west.
Okay, yeah, because on the right side of the map, there's only 2 poor soil spots, and there's a bunch of good and rich soil spots, and then, yeah, because the only spots I've ever gotten the secret garden to spawn on the left was in the 3 good spots that are up in rank, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, and it might just be that those are the spots that are locked, but it just needs you to open the east or
Yeah,
west side with a
probably
lock.
that those are a lot because the west side has less locked doors, so it could be like those are the only times it actually locks.
Does the west side
Um,
actually have less locked doors?
yeah, that's what the note says. The west
Oh
side,
yeah, there is one that says that. Okay,
yeah, it's a red note that says the west side has a lot of locked doors, but it's a line note, so it's like it doesn't have as many locked doors.
right.
But there's so many good soil spots on the right that like I get especially that rank 4 where it's like it's a rich soil spot. Like I can get sometimes I get the veranda or whatever, but I'll usually there's a high probability of drawing the greenhouse. That rank 7 is very common, but I've got it on rank 3 before. But yeah, it's a and once you broke that right if you break down that wall, it's like then it becomes a great room. It's like, okay, now I got the extra door I can use. It's not just a dead end. But yeah, a lot of fun mechanics in the game. I'm curious about watching a day 1 completion run of it.
God, I think I know how you have to do that, and I think I'm just not willing not willing to do that.
That'd be tough because it seems like you need like the perfect amount of
I mean, my spoiler, like, I think I know how it has to be accomplished, and I don't think it's a spoiler to mention to you like how I think it has to be accomplished. But I think it's pretty much like you need the garage,
yeah,
you need to get to the tomb,
yep.
and then you need re-roll dice to get the tomb outside for like a good percentage chance. And then you also need to make it to the antechamber. So you need a way to get to the antechamber and get inside. And then you also need a separate second way into the basement aside from the tomb. So you either need the pump room or you need the foundation. So to get like all of that in one run seems wildly challenging unless there's some sort of hidden mechanic that we don't know about yet.
Especially when you don't have the extra steps from the orchard, like that's got to
Right.
be
Yeah,
ugh,
and you have to do all of it with minimal
base
steps. It
steps.
just seems
Yeah.
like an astronomically challenging thing to accomplish that I'm just kind of like I love trophies and I don't foresee myself ever killing myself enough to get that one.
Yeah. But anyways, that was a yeah, I could go on more, but like I said, we kind of covered that. There's a lot of fun. It's like I like the game where it's like, a a little more. And it's like I kept wondering, like, okay, why are there so many big chess pieces? And like turns out later, like, oh, that's related to a puzzle. And it's like, no, seeing things from but and it's like, oh, well maybe there's more. It's like, yep, there's more. There's here. And I like when there's the room synergies are fun. It's a great game. I
It is.
enjoy it a lot.
Yeah,
Um
really, really good game.
yep. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it there because I got some stuff I gotta get ready for about a half hour. So yeah, thank you for tuning listen. Thank you, Izzy, for joining.
Yep.
And I'm sure we'll both finish Blueprints by the time we record next week. So if we have any additional thoughts, we can do it again. But yeah, we will see you all next time.
Later.